If we want this change we desire, we have to allow voices from different people to be in there and different perspectives.
This year I had my first taste of what it is to have a mental health issue.
In relation to death and dying, we have rituals around that. And my experience over the years is just the absence of not being able to do those fundamental things.
And the discrimination, the racial that you go through, and the stigma.
Advocating for those who don't have a voice or couldn't speak for themselves, because I know people who have been through what I spoke about.
Just the home training sense as well, like being told off in school is way different to if you was getting told off at home.
All the black boys that are going through everything, they don't have the opportunity that I do to sit and talk to you. And when I'm speaking, I need to convey all the emotions they feel.
The hardest thing in any organisation is a cultural change, which is what is fundamentally going to be needed for your system to work.
It is a milestone conference this year. The work that we've been doing over the last 10 years, and actually longer than that, Community Empowerment Network's been here for 18 years working, so it's actually an 18-year project. And I suppose it's also fair to say that this 18 years is built on work that has gone before us for 20, 30 years. And I suppose one of the things we've learned during that period is you've got to ask difficult questions and you've got to deal with the challenging issues. Just because they're tough, racism, inequality, elitism, system failure, these are wicked issues, multiple factorial and complex issues. The trick is not to shy away from that, because we can do the easy things, and we have been doing some of the easy things. Let's set up information advisory groups. Let's do cultural competency training. Let's do race equality awareness. Let's run small projects. We've been doing that for a very, very long time, and what we know is the needle hasn't moved. And what we know is that demand from the community is huge. And we heard at the conference today, how long do we have to wait for progress to happen? So I suppose what we've been doing over the last 2 or 3 years, working with the Mental Health Trust, working with our partners in the community, is develop this new intervention program. And what we're excited about this intervention program, it's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's realistic, it's time managed, smart. And we're using a QI methodology, which is a tried and tested methodology to try, implement, learn, adapt. Try, implement, learn, adapt. Systematic. And I suppose this is the first time we're rolling out a systematic program to address inequality, and that's what's exciting about it.
The NHS would not have flourished without the Windrush generation, and without the toil and hard work and commitment of us, our parents, our relatives, people like us. Even to this day, this wonderful organization, this wonderful arrangement is sustained, supported by people like us. My name is Sashi Sashidharan. I'm a psychiatrist and I'm involved with MALIK in setting up a new project to try and improve mental health and ethnicity issues in relation to the black community here, especially tackling some of the long established inequalities in mental health use and experience by people from our communities. And I'm here at the conference really because this is a very significant event, and this is the first conference I'm attending of Healing Broken Village. Very inspiring event. It's very impressive to see a large cross-section of people from the local community, faith leaders, service users, people who have involvement in mental health services, as well as key people who run the mental health service, the providers, as well as the commissioners.
The project essentially is to focus on the three things that Sashi was talking about. So it's the access, the experience, and then the outcome, and to try and change those, because we know that there are these disparities there. So that's the main focus of the project. Now, I've been coming to this for the last 10 years, and I've been speaking at just about everyone except for today. And every time I've come, I said, look, when I come back, you need to tell me what you've done. And so I think this was an incremental process, and it's built up over the years. And we've now convinced the trust that they need to do something about it. And so I'm quite excited that there is commitment from the trust, and I want to see it through, and hopefully be part of something that's going to make a difference.
And in my first week, in a way that only Malik can, he hunted me down, and we committed to funding the programme, the first part of this expert reference group programme. And I suppose why is it going to make a difference? I think it could make a difference only if it's owned by the community as well as by the organisation.
So I'm really lucky. I've worked with David for 3 years, so I was the Director of Nursing at St George's before that. I have heard about the work of the Broken Village for a number of years, but today has been such a powerful event to come and hear it, but also to feel it for myself. So the work that the young people did, the performance they put on, actually wasn't performance, it was a heartfelt piece of work. And actually, I guess my job is to carry on the work that David's done, but more importantly to carry on the work of the community and to make sure that this trust doesn't see itself as an isolated trust, but is as part of the community. And you guys aren't hard to reach, you're easy to reach, you're all here. We just need to make sure that what we do is with you and for you and in that best way.
So I think what we've got to make sure is that we concentrate on this one we're doing with Professor Sashi and the expert panel, and we've got to really give it a chance to work. Look at what we're finding, look at what the data's showing, and not say, oh, 3 months, it's not finding anything. We've got to give it some time, stick with it, because we've tried other things and it's a different approach. So I think we've got to stick with it. If that works in the way that we think it's going to be, we need to spread that out. You know, not just Wandsworth. We need to spread it out a lot further, because that could be the difference around what is happening in some of our mental health services.
Vanessa's come into the role now and taken over from David, which has been really good for the programme as well, and supporting it continue within the trust. But also getting wider buy-in from the rest of the organisation as well has been really important. So I help oversee the project within the organisation, but also to remain heavily involved with community work and kind of making a real difference in the community is the main aim, actually, and doing the right thing. And we need to make a difference, and we will make a difference.
Encourage and empower, black people to actually says, look, our role and responsibility, not just in terms of our own immediate needs, but we need to look at our community overall. Because one of the things that seems to be changing again in terms of our socio-economic landscape is that we seem so much following the same patterns as our counterparts in North America, that suddenly we've become a little bit more affluent.
I'm a qualified counsellor myself, so when I was going through my training, I was the only person of colour in my training, so I could only speak from my goggles, basically. I could only speak from my experience. So sitting here and seeing some fantastic speakers, years of experience of what's going on in our community regarding our mental health. And as my partner said in her share, was it's heartbreaking to see that we've got people who are our younger generation, us in our 30s and then older, still saying the same thing. At what point do we make a change? We can only talk so much, but we actively need to start doing something. And I think that's where the shift needs to be.
I really enjoyed the keynote speaker. I felt that I've never actually heard somebody speak in that sort of fashion with that sort of truth and honesty before. But I enjoyed also David Bradley, because living in Southwark now, it's nice to hear that he's going to bring the energy that he's been employing here for many years into our borough, which is very much needed, at the moment.
It's inadequate, not good enough, he says. This is why we don't hire people like you, he sneers. I walk out into a whitewashed office. Why am I here? You see, my parents, they didn't graduate from university, and they're retired. They fought to get me here, and they battled to raise me here, and if they were brave, I have to be as well.
Because today was really a special moment in the life of the HOBV conferences because of the report that they were getting ready to publish today, and just this new project that the new project that we're releasing and establishing. We wanted to set the tone with a dramatic piece. So after much conversations with Malik, the director, in terms of just the life of a typical BME person who experiences mental health services, we wanted to communicate that in a drama piece that would be well received.
It's been amazing, like, you know, getting to meet people that work in the same field as me, hearing opinions of, like, you know, people from the NHS, because that's really important, because that's where, you know, a lot of the therapy and things like and support is coming from. And being able to, like, look at what we have from what we don't have, to be able to, do you know what I mean, build and create a better community for all of us. So I'm really pleased to be able to have the opportunity to be here, get to meet.
But I think, okay, so how will we know if it's a success? One, has the expert panel produced something that resonates with the community that we serve, and does the community feel that it's theirs to own? And is it beginning to make a real difference? So I'm really proud that our organisation recently has been told that we live our values, but actually the performance that we saw demonstrates that people still don't feel that that's consistently the case. And I'm not sure we'll ever get it 100% perfect, but this time next year I'd like us to be a bit better than we are now, and maybe that's not very inspirational, but I think it's about being realistic, that actually it's about making incremental changes. And I would really like to see our rate of detention of people from BAME communities reduce, and the number of people accessing early intervention services increase. And I'm not sure that the early intervention services need to be just from statutory organisations like ours, but actually there was lots of offers or opportunities for how the community could help us. So I'd like us to take up some of those opportunities.
The ideas are very simple. It's a very practical project that is going to be looking at improving services for people both within the trust and as well as outside the institutions. So it's what we call an inside-outside project. We are going to be developing an intervention package that will be implemented in the area of Wandsworth over a period of 1 year, with a specific aim of reducing the discrepancies in the use of mental health services by people from black and minority ethnic communities and the majority white population, particularly targeting the disproportionate number of black people who are treated forcibly against their wishes, and also improving the access to mental health services for people from BAME communities.